Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Man, welcome back to Gyms with Josh. And it's crazy, man. We're already here at week 13. Man, this season is going by fast. I'm glad you guys have been tuning in with us. I hope you guys are getting closer to getting into the playoffs in your leagues because, yeah, man, we got 2 weeks into the fantasy football playoffs. And, yeah, these next 2 weeks are make or break. If you're on the edge of getting in or if you're already in, you still need to plan for what's next, all right? And my only word of advice I would give everybody is to trust your guns, all right? But definitely you want to look at matchups, right? You might have somebody on your team who's been pretty good this season in your flex, but the matchup is bad. You got somebody on your bench that might be a little bit better, right? You might got to really start looking at those things if you're one of those people that need to get in the playoffs. You're right on the edge. In one of my leagues, I'm right on the edge. I got a lot of adjustments I need to make this week. And, yeah, good luck to you guys. I hope you guys get into the playoffs in these next 2 weeks. All right. No buys this week, right? So we're not going to talk about quarterbacks this week, but we will run into running backs. And 2 running backs that I love this week are on the same team. That's Kenneth Gainwell and Jalen Warren. They're both going against the Buffalo Bills this week. The Bills have really struggled against the run this season, guys. If you have either 2 of those guys, I think you should feel safe putting them at RB2 flex position this week going against Buffalo. Buffalo's been horrible against the run. So, yeah, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, trust them this week. New guy on the pod this week, Devin Neal, running back from the New Orleans Saints going against the Miami Dolphins, all right? Alvin Kamara looks like he's going to be out this week, and Devin Neal looked pretty good last week filling in for him. He catches the ball out of the backfield, and he runs the ball pretty strong. He was really good at Kansas in college. Going against Miami, they struggle against the run. I think he'll be a safe bet to put into your flex this week. Devin Neal, yeah, might be a guy you want to add into your lineup, all right? And last but not least, I know this one's a little shaky, but Chad Rodriguez, running back from the Commanders going against the Broncos this week. The reason why I say it's shaky is because Denver has, one of the best run defenses in the league. But the reason why I like Chad Rodriguez this week is before the bye, the Commanders really use him a lot. He had over 15 carries in that offense, and I think he has become RB1 in that offense. If you really need to put somebody in your flex this week, possible R2 position this week, I think Chad Rodriguez might surprise you, do pretty well this week, all right? Let's move over to wide receivers for this week, all right? Brian Thomas Jr., receiver from the Jacksonville Jaguars going against the Titans. I know. Brian Thomas has been a bust for most of us. I drafted him in the second round this year. He hasn't lived up to the hype. All right, but I love this matchup this week going against the Titans. It is a make or break week for Brian Thomas Jr. If you have him, feel safe, put him into your flex this week. Coming off of, he was out last week on injury. I think he's getting all the way healthy. I think he will have a big game against the Titans. Again, it's make or break time for Brian Thomas Jr. All right, coming up next, you got Jaden Higgins, wide receiver from the Houston Texans, going against the Indianapolis Colts. And Jaden Higgins has really become wide receiver 2 in that Houston offense, at times looking like wide receiver 1, okay? Over his last 3 games, he's averaged over 7 targets every game. Jaden Higgins is really becoming a problem, and the Colts struggle against wide receivers at times, all right? Jaden Higgins, safe bet to put in at wide receiver 2 or flex this week. And last but not least, man, we got Courtland Sutton, receiver from the Broncos, going against the Commanders this week. This is also a big game for Courtland Sutton. He's had a really up and down season this year, but I think he's going to have a big game this week. His last game before the bye, he had 8 targets. Didn't have a great game, but 8 targets is a lot. He's still wide receiver 1 in that offense. The Commanders secondary really struggles. I think you could put Courtland Sutton in this week at wide receiver 2, flex position, and feel safe for a big game from him, all right? Let's move over to tight end this week. And yes, Brenton Strange, tight end from the Jacksonville Jaguars going against Tennessee. He's been on IR. He had an injury early in the season, but he is back. And last week, guys, he had 14 fantasy points in his first game back. I really love him again going this week against the Tennessee Titans. Titans defense struggles a lot. Brenton Strange, man, he might creep up being top 10 tight end this week. If you have him on waiver wire in your league, pick him up, and you should really feel safe starting him. And last but not least, at wide receiver, Mike Gesicki going against the Baltimore Ravens, right? Joe Burrow's supposed to be coming back this week, and Joe Burrow loves him some Mike Gesicki, all right? Whenever Joe Burrow's in the lineup, he really looks for him. And since Gesicki's come back, he's been getting targets. I think with Joe Burrow coming back this week, safe play putting Gesicki in at tight end going against the Ravens, all right? No quarterback this week, and it's a big week, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. So much great football coming on this week. So what we're going to do, man, we're going to do 2 plays this week that we're going to be betting on. Again, we're betting on underdog. Shout out to underdog. And yeah, I'm going to give you guys 2 plays that you guys can bet this week. Hopefully you make you some Christmas cash, get you some gifts for you and your family. And again, yeah, we're only betting $10 on these, but they will win you close to $300 on these bets, all right? Our first bet that we're going to go with, we got Kareem Hunt, running back from the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going against Dallas. They have him at 33.5 rush yards, going all the way up on that one. The Chiefs really fed him the ball last week. I think that continues against the Cowboys. I think if the Chiefs want to be an even balanced offense, they're going to have to continue to keep running the ball with Kareem Hunt. Next guy on that list, we got Rashee Rice. They have him at 75.5 receiving yards. Going to go up on that one, all right? You know, I'm a Cowboys fan, but the Cowboys, we still struggle in the secondary at times. A.J. Brown had a big week last week. I think Rashee Rice has a big game this week as well. All right, on the other side, Cowboys, all right? You got Jake Ferguson. They have him at 36.5 receiving yards. Going to go up on that one. Dak really looks for Jake Ferguson a lot in that offense. I think Kansas City's really going to try to take away Pickens and Lamb. I think Ferguson's going to have a lot of matchups he's going to like. 36.5 receiving yards up on that. Joe Burrow back this week, man. I love me some Joe Burrow. They have him at 1.5 touchdown passes this week. I'm going to go up on that one. If Joe Burrow is somewhat healthy, he's going to really be slinging that ball around. I like him to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. All right. You also have Chase Brown from the Bengals. Again, the Bengals are going against the Ravens this week. They have him at 80.5 rush receiving yards. Going to go up on that one for Chase Brown. And last but not least, on that first play, they have Evan McPherson, kicker from the Bengals, 1.5 field goals made. I think it's going to be a very offensive game. I think the Bengals are going to move the ball. 1.5 field goals made for Evan McPherson. We're going up on that one, all right? And our second play, we're going to finish off on this EP, man. You have the Packers Thanksgiving game, again, going against the Detroit Lions. They have Romeo Doubs at 44-point receiving yards. Going to go up on that one. If you saw the Lions last week going against the Giants receivers really ate against the secondary of the Lions. And Dobbs being wide receiver 2 is going to get a lot of good matchups. I like that matchup a lot. Emmanuel Wilson, running back from the Packers, right? They have him at 26.5 rush yards, going all the way up on that one. Yes, Josh Jacobs is coming back this week. Don't know how healthy he is, but even if he comes back and he's somewhat healthy, I think it's going to be a shared running back share this week. And yeah, Emmanuel Wilson, again, 26.5 receiving yards, going up on that one. Back to that Dallas KC game, you got Xavier Worthy. They have him at 38.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go up on that one as well. He's going to get a lot of good matchups, and he is a speed demon. The Cowboys struggle against speedy receivers. I think he'll definitely go over that. All right, back to that Bengals-Ravens game. Mike Gesicki, I told you I love him with Joe Burrow. They have him at 33.5 receiving yards this week, going up on that one. T. Higgins is out with a concussion. Easy bet. Also on that side, you have Yosivas, right? He's going to be wide receiver two this week with T. Higgins out. They have him at 33.5 receiving yards. Give me that all day. Joe Burrow is going to sling the ball. And last but not least, man, they got Lamar Jackson at 233.5 pass yards this week. Going to go up on that one as well. The Bengals secondary struggle all season long. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think Lamar really steps it up against other elite quarterbacks. 233.5 pass yards this week for Lamar Jackson. I'm locking that one in. Again, guys, big week. 2 weeks left into the fantasy football playoffs. I hope you guys make the right adjustments. If you guys have any questions, you need any help setting your lineups, definitely hit us up on TikTok, Gyms with Josh, Instagram as well as YouTube as well, all right? Happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Hug your family tight. Love on your family. And we will see you guys for week 14. One more week until the playoffs. We're going to see how everything ends. Gyms with Josh. Appreciate all the love and support. Peace.